All right, everyone. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. Tonight is an impromptu back to the basics sort of training. I know we have coaches that are on tonight that have just kind of gotten started within like today. So welcome. I know we've had coaches on here that's been here for 5, 6, 7 years. So I want to thank everyone that's brand new all the way to the more senior coaches. Thank you guys for jumping on an impromptu gathering. Sometimes, as I'm coaching and I've had an experience of working with our group and with our family, we are doing something that is very iconic. I want to say within this Optavia community, within Optavia family, within Medifast as a company. Our group since basically 2013. Yeah, do me a favor, go on and put in the chat, where you guys are from. Say hi to all of your brothers and sisters and cousins and uncles and grandmamas and stuff. So, but from 2012, basically 2013, this group right here has been moving at a pace that's rarely has been seen in this company's history. And with that, we have a lot of amazing coaches and amazing stories. And then sometimes, how if you guys have ever seen that experiment to where they want to show you how diluted water could be. And so you have one glass here and it might be filled up with red dye. And by the time you get to the fifth cup, there's no red dye in the cup at all. That's sometimes how organizations can be. And it's that way, not only with energy, just take energy as being the red dye, but also with systems. And so by the time you get to the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth cup, the dye that is maybe a coach's energy may not be there, and a coach's kind of skills may not be there as well because it's been convoluted and it's been diluted. So tonight is about curling back in as a family. Let's come back to the basics. Let's really understand what we're doing and more importantly, why we're doing it. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So I'm going to ask a couple things out of this amazing group as people start to pile in. One is see if we can be locked in for the next hour. And when I say that, I'm basically saying try to be as focused as you can, because what you're doing is you're dedicating a piece of your life to this call. You're given an hour out of your life, which is so precious, to this call. So let's make the most of it. So maybe turn off some of the notifications, shut down the phones, things like that, because I think it's going to be pretty important. And especially when I get a feeling like this, I know it's important because I don't get them all the time. The other thing that I would say is there's going to be about 3 things that you're going to want. So if you can grab those really fast, that's important. We're going to go through the basics of coaching. It is so easy. It should be a sin how easy this business is. It is like if there was a 2-year-old walking by and you really wanted a sucker and they had that sucker that you wanted and you could just snatch it from them. That's how easy being a health coach is with this company. So we're going to go back to the basics. So one of the things you'll want is this thing right here, as you can see. That's called a contact list. And so I'm going to ask you guys to have 3 of these. So if you already have them, then great. Grab a contact list. That's the first thing. Second thing I'm going to ask you to have is a health assessment. A health assessment. So if at any time, anything that I'm saying you don't know or you don't have, make sure to write that down. Even put it in the comments. And then write that down so that when we're done with this, you can text it over to your business coach or to your support team, and we can get it right over to you. The last thing I'm going to ask you to have is your Optavia Success, binder. Okay. And so we'll go through all of these and I'll show you how simplistic this whole thing is, whether we're talking about bringing on clients and our coaches. A big part of tonight as well is going to be some life coaching. And what you're going to understand is everything about this business is correlated with life as well. So this is why my personal opinion is that everyone that I run into, no matter no matter how well they're doing at their current occupation, should at least consider becoming a health coach, because what we do doesn't just transform within our own programs and our clients' programs and things like that, but it transforms into our life. There's no way we can serve the amount of people that we want to without becoming better people. And this business helps you do that. So I'll sort of outline how that happens. So before we get into that, I want to curl together as a family. I want us to start to understand, get back connected to how did we get here? Why did we do this? What are we doing this for? And the best way that I know to do that is to really hear some transformational stories. So the first person that I want to sort of share with us tonight is a woman that's close to my heart. I've already seen her start to transform. I knew that it would happen. And so I'm going to ask Ivy Taylor to share her journey and her story with us, and how Optavia has uniquely shaped her life. And what I asked our speakers to do tonight is not to hold back. This is a truth serum type of training tonight. This is we're all family, and we got some issues, and we got some stuff that's there. And if you don't have stuff, you're probably not being honest, because we all have stuff. And we all had stuff before we came into this company, and we certainly still have it. So I've asked Ivy not to hold back and to really share her heart with us tonight. So Ivy, are you there?
I'm here.
Right.
Let me get my timer going. In the beginning, I guess it starts before I started the program, and I was at a point in my life where I was just, I guess, basically numb. I figured I was going to be fat forever, and just, went to the Lane Bryant store and stocked up on some cute fat clothes. And I was just resigned to the fact that this is how it was going to be. So, my husband loved me anyway. And if he did, then that was all that mattered. It didn't matter if I loved myself. I just had to be here for my kids and get by. So, I saw a friend of mine on Facebook had lost weight, and asked her how she did it. And she told me that it was through a program, and I was not interested in doing anything else. I'd already done them all. So, I just poo-pooed on that. But another friend called me New Year's Day and said she was starting this the next day. And I didn't want to be left out. I wanted to try one more time. So I lost 72 pounds in about 7 months. I don't even know how to explain it. I feel like a totally different person. I saw people along the way watching me, and I started helping them too, and became a coach. And now, not only have I gained confidence in myself as a mom and a friend, and now a health coach, but now it's helping with my car payment, my house payment, and we're able to go and do stuff, fun stuff together. So, I really appreciate all the help that I've gotten. I could talk forever about this. I'm trying. Let me see how much time I've got. I've got a minute and a half left. Okay. Since we're being real, this is the easiest thing I've ever done, but it's also the scariest thing I've ever done, because it's easy to find people that want your help, but then trying to continue to help them along their journey. You can't do it for them. You have to be there for them and let them do it themselves. And if one person doesn't do it, somebody else will. So you can't focus so much on the one person that may be pulling away or not succeeding when you've got 10 other people out there that could use your help. So, I don't know. Now that I'm talking, I don't know what else to say, because I don't know. I guess I'm at that point right now where, because I'm still working a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 job, and then I do this in the evenings and on the weekends, and I feel a little bit overwhelmed, but I'm not secure enough to quit my job. So, maybe one day really soon. I don't know. We'll see.
Ivy, can you tell us the biggest ways you've been transformed, even the mental and emotional transformation?
The biggest ways that I've been transformed, you know, I guess I don't hold back quite as much on Facebook. Used to on Facebook, I didn't want to share so much about myself because I didn't want people to feel like I was better than them or rubbing it in or into myself, you know. But now I want other people to feel like I feel. So I'm just, trying to put it out there.
How do you feel?
I feel great. I haven't felt good in my own skin in over 20 years. I can put on a swimsuit and swim with the boys now instead of sitting on the side with the big shirt on, covering it all up. I enjoy getting to do stuff with the kids more and not trying to hide, not being with them in front of me in the picture anymore. I want to be the picture now.
When did you start as a client?
January 5th.
Okay. If this was December of last year and
Mm-hmm.
I told you, and I just came to you,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, a year from today, and everything that you've gone through would have changed, would you have believed me?
No.
Okay, and that has changed. So everything that has changed, would you consider that maybe a miracle?
Yeah. And I can't wait to put that out there. That's one of the things that I've been mulling over in my mind, how I'm going to word it, because I know that there's going to be a lot of people ready to start in January. I've already got about 5 people that said, I'll be ready first of the year, husband and wife. They're waiting until the first of the year. And I can't wait to figure out how I'm going to word it because they've watched me all year long,
Mm-hmm.
So I want them to be able to see themselves. I'm 48 and we had our 30th class reunion this year. So almost, all my classmates are 48 or going on 49, and in another year we'll all be 50. So I want to put it out there, are you going to spend this next year getting healthy? Because I saw a lot of people at the reunion that needed to get healthy. Or, are they going to just continue on the path that they're on? We've also lost a lot of classmates. So,
okay. So by the end of this call, you'll know how to say it.
Yeah.
Love it. Ivy, I want to thank you so much for that. That was good. Was that good, you guys? Okay. Let's go on out and let's hear one more story from a guy that a lot of you guys know, but the Mr. Joe Otto. So, Joe, are you there? Can you share with us?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Joe Otto, obviously ought to be a executive director. I just wanted to really, when Jamil asked me earlier today if I would share, I was like, well, okay, what are we talking about today? And it was more of share the blessings and kind of where I've come from. And as I was listening to Ivy, and especially as I was listening to Jamil ask Ivy, questions there at the very end, I'm starting to tear up. And I'm thinking, oh, great, I'm going to be crying before I start. Holy cow. Thanks, Jamil. So anyway, so one of the things that's really stuck out to me this year is my whole life has changed. And it all came to me from a friend request from my coach. We had a mutual friend who had found the program. She became her coach. I think it was at the end of a March Madness that you guys were doing, that I get a friend request from Melody. I don't know who she is. Her and I only have a few friends in common, and those people don't even know each other. It's all seemed sort of weird to me, and that she was a certified health coach, and I just wanted to know what that meant. And I reached out to the person that her and I had this mutual friend with that I knew really well, who had been on program for 3 weeks. She'd lost some weight, told me that she thought that Melody could help me. And she knew my story. My story was pretty sordid. I'd been up and down in weight and stayed pretty much in the 350s. I'm in my early 50s. I was 52 at the time. Now I'm 53. And at that time, she'd seen me struggle and gain all my weight back, and had lost it. So kind of brought me up to there. This was April the 14th, the day I started. I weighed 353 pounds. Now I'm just a little over 7 months later. I'm down around 230. So I've lost 123 some odd pounds. But the weight loss, now I'm going to cry. Thanks, Jamil. The weight loss is only a mere fraction of what's happened. Because of the weight loss, because of the program, because of becoming a coach, and because of the training and the mentorship that we get from not just Jamil, especially from Jamil, but from all sorts of different places, from the different organizations, all the training that we have, especially Jamil, is that I have learned how to think. My thought process is totally different. Yesterday, I was sitting on the couch here, and I'm at my girlfriend's, now fiance's house, which none of that would have happened had it not been for the program. Had I not started on the program, I wouldn't have lost weight. I wouldn't have become a coach. Had I not become a coach, I couldn't have replaced my income at my corporate job. Had I not replaced my corporate job income, I would not have left my corporate job, and nor would I have been able to go on a cruise that I went on 3 weeks later after leaving that job. At that cruise, I meet a girl. The girl and I end up falling in love, and I've been at her house now for just over a month, and I have proposed, and now we're getting married, and now I'm moving to Texas, all because I got a friend request at the end of March about a program to lose some weight. So yesterday, I'm sitting on the couch, and something happens in the kitchen, and Sarah gets up and she heads into the kitchen, and when she does, one of the dogs jumped off the couch and went through the cord on my laptop and pulled my laptop out of my lap, and it hit the floor. Well, when my laptop hit the floor, it broke. My screen went all chaos. I'm just sitting there staring at it. She comes back in and she sits on the couch. She says, nervously, she looks at me and she says, "I'll buy you a new one." I said, "No, you're not. That's not your fault. That was my fault." And she looked at me and she looked at me and she said, "What?" And it caught her off guard that I said it was my fault. And the fault of that was, shut up, I hate timers. The fault of that was, it was my fault for the cord being across the floor for let the dog run through it. I looked at that as E plus R equals O. That was an event. An event happened. My laptop hit the floor. The screen broke. It's now useless. My response was, I looked at her and I said, "Oh, dang." She was expecting me to go chaos. She was expecting me to yell at her and yell at the dog and get all out of whack and stuff. So the outcome came, her and I were in the kitchen just a few minutes later, and she said, "I love you way more now than I did before the laptop hit the floor." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She said, in any past relationship she'd been in, that the guy in that when that happened, would have screamed and yelled and caused all sorts of friction. And I said, well, that was just just one of those things that happens. It doesn't change my life. It doesn't change how I feel about you. It doesn't change anything. Great, the laptop's broken. I wish it wasn't. But anyways, I don't mean to go on about that. I know I've talked too long, but it's really my mind that's changed so much. Yes, I've lost a lot of weight, and being a coach is freaking phenomenal because of all the people that I have been able to help so far. And like Ivy said, there are so many people that saying, I want to start after Christmas, after the first, after that. I've got a long list of those, but it's really the way I think has changed. That would be my biggest blessing, I think, Jamil.
I love it. I love it. Joe, a year ago, think about where you were and think about where you're at now. Would you, my friend, consider that a miracle?
It's so beyond my comprehension of where I am today versus where I was April the 13th. It's not even, that was the question that you asked Ivy that I started to cry on, because I was like, who in the world could ever even have imagined that any of this would have happened? Not me. I mean, I wouldn't have. No, never.
Okay.
It's unbelievable.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I have loved this group since 2012. When there was one coach, now there's over 1,000. It appears to me that we are miracle workers. And I don't fully think that this group comprehends that. To where you have something to where you can take anyone in this country, in this world, and help them so uniquely transform that it baffles them that they could live a completely different life. And I think that we sometimes lose sight of how powerful we are. And we do it a disjustice, and we're not fully understanding what we have. I'm so in tune to what we do, particularly because I was there. And when I start to feel coaches taking that for granted, it doesn't settle well with me because I don't feel like we understand what we have. Very important to understand what you have. So for a second, dream with me, because this is where it starts, if you can. Because when you come into this company, this company is all about abundance. And that's another thing that I don't think that we understand, quite frankly, because we're not taught to understand that. But Optavia is about abundance, and it is about living the life that you truly want, whether that's your physical health, your mental and emotional well-being, or your financial health. We have something called a trilogy wheel that asks us to rate ourselves from 1 to 10 in those 3 areas. The majority of people, if they're being honest, are at about a 5 or below. What this company does is it gives us the opportunity to move to a 10. The trouble is there's too much worlding that's going on to where we don't stop and actually think and even dream about where we actually want to be. So this is where it starts. So if you feel so compelled, let's dream for a second. Let's dream for a second. So what I want you to do is, in the seat of your chair, in the comfort of your own home, I want you to actually think about how you want to live. Do this for me for the next minute. It only takes a minute, but you'll be amazed because this minute is going to be a minute longer than most people spend years with actually thinking about. So in this next minute, I want you to write down, how do you actually want to live? How do you actually want to show up in this world? What do you want to give? How much money do you want to earn? What legacy would you like to leave? Where would you like to go? Who would you like to be? What would you like to see? Are you living the way that you actually want to? Are you settling? Are you saying things like, I'm okay? What in the world makes us think that this one life that we have to live is enough with being okay? Where did we learn that? It really baffles me. Because if we can live in abundance, guess what we can give? So, how would you like to be a year from now, 12 months from now, December 7th, 2018? What would you like to do? Do you know that I had no clue 5 years ago that we could actually accomplish what's been accomplished in this group? When I started out as a new coach, a month and a half into it, I had the opportunity to go to what we call national convention. That's a key word. Write that down. Go register. Make sure that you show up in St. Louis this year and make sure that you bring some people with you. It wasn't until I went there that I understand that I was living a fragment of myself and what I was capable of. Guys, if you would have known me 6 years ago intimately, I was a mustard seed of the person that I am today, the person that I am today. Forget the weight that I lost, the person that I am today. What I now know is that anything that you write down on that paper is possible. The challenge is we don't take enough time to write it down. And the second thing, we don't believe it. Because if we believed it, what we would do is we would take that and what you just wrote down and what you're thinking about, and when you're laying down at night and you're thinking about how do I actually want to live, when you're thinking about that, if you take that and now attach it to this miracle of a program, you cannot lose. That's what I know for a fact. I don't know much. There's a lot that I don't know, that's for sure. But that I do know. And I don't know it because I've read in one of these hundreds of books that are over there. I know it because I've lived it. This has been my life. Every single day I wake up looking for the Joes and the Ivies of the world. And why do I look for them? Because I know that they're there. And I know that next year there's going to be a new Joe and a new Ivy on this line. And I know that they're going to be there because I got up and I actually did something. Now, here's a caveat to that. It's called the law of action. And this sort of business, the Joes of the world are along our path. And if we decide to do something that day, that hour, that minute, then the Joes of this world will get blessed in this way. They will find this miracle. Now, remember, there's a lot of Joes on our paths. So the days that we get up and we decide not to do something, it's not like nothing happened that day. What happens is the Joes, the Ivies, the Jones, the Mikes, the Justins, the Pats of the world will not get help. So when we think about, oh, I'm just not going to do anything today, remember, there is a life on the other side of that decision. There's sometimes two lives. Oftentimes, there's thousands of lives. Because you know what? Now that Joe is here, guess who Joe is going to go influence? Guess who they are going to go influence? One drop of water creates an incredible ripple effect. So let me spend a couple minutes just kind of assessing and giving us a reminder about how life and business works. And this is something that I think most people either don't know or that they are just constantly forgetting. So the way that it works is you guys all got these dreams and these desires and these goals you wrote down. Did you guys write those down? If you wrote them down and you've been contemplating it, then put a 1 in the chat group so we can see that this is something, and we're talking about how we actually want to be. Don't settle. Don't say, "Oh, I guess that'd be cool for me. I guess I could. I hope that I could do that." No, 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 no. This is a miracle working company with miracle working mentorship. So now that we all have these things that we actually want, I'm going to tell you how life and business works. Okay? And it's going to work this way whether you put a 1 or a not. So now that you have these unique things that you want, there's one thing that I can assure you is going to happen. And that is called conflict. That is called problems. That is called barriers. Now, this conflict is going to show up differently for all of us. For some people, it's going to be traffic. For some people, it's going to be a hurricane comes through Houston, Texas. For some people, it's going to be devastation that shows up in Florida. For some people, it's going to be a car accident. For some people, as devastating as it is, it's going to be a death in the family. For some people, it's going to be adultery. For some people, it's going to be a client pushing their order back. For some people, it's going to be a coach deciding to leave. For some people, it's going to be whatever it is going to be, but it is going to come. You can't escape it. I know you don't want it, but it's going to happen. You can sum up life in one really easy sentence. Opportunity mixed with difficulty. You can sum up business in one easy sentence. Opportunity mixed with difficulty. You ain't going to escape it. Your kid's going to get sick. A flood is going to happen. Something crazy is going to happen. But the challenge is, most of us think that when that happens, it's a time to give up. It's a time to throw in the towel. It's a time to run amok. It's a time to say, forget it. It's a time to say, this isn't for me. It's a time to say, my business coach isn't telling me what to do. It's a time to say, well, one client wasn't interested. I guess no one's interested. It's a time to crumble. That's how most people handle it. Am I right? If I'm right, put a 2 in there. This is how I handled it. This is how I handled it for 31 years. Guess what I didn't have for 31 years? The stuff that I wanted, the impact that I wanted. Until I started learning that it isn't these obstacles, these challenges, these struggles aren't there to make me quit. Guess what they're there for? Guess what they're there for? Guess what they're there for? They're there to help you get to the things that you just wrote down. So I think sometimes we forget this, or we either don't know it. So I want to give a quick little reminder that those things are there to help you actually become the person that you're going to need to become to do these things that you want to do. Do you guys think that we could have grown an organization this size, this fast, in this company, the way that we have? If I didn't go through a whole bunch of stuff, if your coaches didn't go through a whole bunch of stuff, you think Joe could be supporting the amount of clients that he's had right now without having some clients fall off, go through some stuff? It has to happen. Listen to me. We're like this. Consider it like this. When you come in, this is just how life and business is. I'm going to tell you that right now. You cannot birth anything new without having challenges. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. In order to give life to anything, there's going to be struggles, conflict, pain. Whether we're talking about giving life to a new kid, or whether we're talking about giving life to a marriage, whether we're talking about giving life to a new business that you have, whether we're talking about giving life to a client. Why do you think a client goes through challenges days 2, 3, and 4? They have to. In order to get to a place that they actually want to get, they have to go through the fire first. It's just not going to happen. Why do you think people reach executive director or manager or global or presidential director and then go backwards? Why does that happen to almost every single person that I know? It has to. It's just how the world works. So when we come in, we're like this. Think about this. You see this little circle that's there? That circle is you. That circle is me. That's about how big we are in our development. Now, my hand is called the world. You can call it God. You can call it the universe. Call it whatever makes you comfortable, but it's true. Now, what you want, all those desires that you just wrote down, are bigger than this little circle. How do you know it's bigger? Because if they weren't, then the circle would be bigger. So what happens is you're about this big in terms of your development. In order for you to get bigger, you're going to have to go through some stuff. You go through that stuff, you go through that stuff, you go through that stuff. You learn the lessons. If you don't learn the lessons, guess how big you stay? That big. If you murmur, if you whine, if you complain, if you give up, if you decide to leave, if you decide to blame, if you decide to be the victim, guess how big you stay? That big. Guess what can't fit into this little circle? Your goals, your visions, your dreams, your desires. So you go through the stuff, you learn the lessons, and guess what starts to happen? The circle gets a little bit bigger, right? Now, when the circle gets this big, it still can't fit all your dreams, your goals, your desires. So guess what you're going to have to go through? Some stuff. And if you learn the lessons, you get to grow. If you don't, you stay the same. And guess how your life stays? The same. But if you learn the lessons, if you become more, if you give more, if you serve more, you become more generous, you learn the lessons, you become a better leader, you become a better parent, you learn things like E plus R equals O. You start to have a different response to these things. Now you can grow. And when you grow, guess what happens? What can fit in there? More blessings, more of your dreams, your desires, your outcomes, things like that. Now that you're here, guess what the world is going to give you? More challenges. If you complain, if you whine, if you moan, if you quit, guess where you will stay and guess where your life will stay? Right here. But if you learn the lessons, you get bigger and bigger and bigger. This is how you can always, 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 please write this down. This is how you can always have more, give more, do more, serve more, because you can become more. But if we keep complaining and quitting and whining and moaning about these things that have to be there, then we're never, ever, ever going to be the miracle workers that we can be. That's just how it is. Life is so stinking simple. It's a stepping stone. Okay? So if you're on this level, you want to go to the next level. In order to get to the next level, you have to learn the lesson. So how do we do this then? So when crazy things happen in our lives, and I don't care what this crazy is, listen, you don't have to want much. You didn't have to write down any goals or desires. That's fine. One thing I know for sure is you're not going to have to become much. And not becoming all you can be is no way to live. So that's one thing. The second thing is, because you failed to learn the lessons, it's not like these issues aren't going to stop presenting themselves to you anyway. So they're going to keep coming until you actually decide to learn and grow and become bigger. So if you're the sort of person that's wondering, why does this stuff always happen to me? Why am I not getting the things that I want? Well, you're not getting them because you're not learning the lessons. That's why. That's the only reason. Because once you learn the lesson about one thing, you'll start to see that that sort of thing doesn't show up in your life. That's just how it is. It doesn't show up in your business. It doesn't show up in your life. So what do? I make a list. So when these crazy things happen, whether you got hit by a car, knock on wood, whether something as insignificant of a client canceling their premier order. We used to call it a B Slim. Whether you got stuck in traffic, whether a boss yells at you, whether a coach tells you that the only reason why you're doing this is because you care about money, you don't care about people, whether it's whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. All of it's there to help you. So I would make a list of at least 20 reasons as to why is this, what am I supposed to learn from this? Anytime these struggles come, do not complain, murmur, cry about it, become the victim. Always, always use it as a means to get better. And a way to do that is to make a list and say, what am I supposed to learn from this? How is this supposed to help me become better? How is this supposed to help me become and do the things that I want to do? Come up with a list. And that list might be, well, it's supposed to teach me better leadership skills, or it's supposed to have me rekindle an old relationship, or it's supposed to make me have better time management skills, or it's supposed to help me focus on the kids more, or whatever it is. There's always good things that come out of a crappy situation. And until we learn how to respond to these things differently, we'll never, ever, 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 ever going to start to move in a way of success. It's just not going to happen. Just not going to happen at all. So we have to actually seek these challenging things so that we can become the sort of people that grow and experience more. There's no way, guys, if you guys would have given me this business 5 years ago, it would have plummeted because I wasn't the sort of person that can handle it. But now I've just grown. And so I can. If you gave me Dr. A's business right now, you know what it would do? It would shrink right down to the capacity that I could handle it. And I probably screw up the income as well because I haven't learned enough lessons to handle $400,000 a month, right? Like, I just haven't. So in the last 15 minutes, let me explain how easy this business is. This is an easy business. Everybody write down in your notes, easy. This is easy, 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 easy. The first thing that we need is what we've already done. And that's set your intentions. What do you want? What do you want? How do you want to live? How do you want to be? What do you want to give? How do you want to serve? I have this list constantly evolving. This year on my list was what I wanted to give is I want to create a scholarship to young kids that were coming that are playing sports coming out of high school that deserve a scholarship. Maybe they're athletically not where everyone else is, but they've done all these other things that helped them be deserving of playing college football. That was me. I just fought a lot. I worked. Maybe athletically, I wasn't where everyone else was, but I just worked. So guess what went on my list this year? I'm going to create a scholarship for Azusa Pacific University. And it's going to be in my name, and we're going to give it away to the most deserving person every single year. You think that was on my list 5 years ago? No. My list was just trying to keep my marriage together. Hopefully we didn't have to separate houses, have my son be raised by maybe another man, right? My list was to finally stop the bleeding from all these credit cards and stuff. And it just so happened that the first thing I wrote down on my paper was $18,000 a month. Guess how long it took to actually start earning that in this company? I graduated from college. I spent all these years working in these companies, right? Every single day, busting my tail. I worked in this company less than 2 years. I remember the first time we hit 20,000 a month. Breezed on by that to 30, breezed on by that to 40. We've only been doing this 5.5 years. Let me explain how simple this is. First thing is you got to know what you want. I think we all know that. Second thing is you have to become intimate with your story. Was Joe's story good? Was Ivy's story good? Okay. Ivy's story was great. This woman has changed. I knew she was going to change. I know right now that in the next couple of years, Joe and Ivy are going to be walking across the stage at convention as global directors. I already know that. I saw that first time I met them. That's why it was so imperative that we got them to national convention so they could start to see it. I already know it. So we have our story. Next thing we need to know, your story, by the way, is what we call your seed. You are a sower out there just sowing your seed. You got a great story. Now, who are we going to tell this story to? This is where our contact lists come in, okay? So I recommend we have 3 at all times. Your contact lists are going to break down like this. Who's on my heart? These are people that I'm constantly thinking about them and their well-being and their health. On my heart list, my first contact list, constantly, my mom, right? Mama dearest. Got so much water in her ankles and her knees. If you poke a pin in there, it probably just start oozing out. Edema, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. She's been overweight since the time I could say goo goo gaga. She was on my list. My sisters, we all grew up heavy. Both my sisters were on my list. My whole dang family. Type 2 diabetics and high cholesterol and things like that, right? I care about these people. Guess who went down on my list? Those people. My family's down over 700 pounds now, come off about 20 medication. They were all on my heart list. I saw this for them way before they saw it for themselves. Who's on your heart list? Why do you think I want to start to call out with these stories? Because this is a people business. Do you care? So these people are on your heart. That's your heart list. They're never going to stop. Guess who else is on your heart list? Who do you know that's struggling financially right now? Could barely pay the rent. You're looking at a guy that grew up on welfare. I was so happy when food stamps came in because I knew it was time to eat. I've never known my mom to have a job until like a year ago when she created her own job. Who do you know that's struggling financially? You heard Ivy say about the blessings that's starting to roll in from her income. Joe, my man Joe, left his job so stinking fast, even though I advised him not to. He did it anyway. But now look what's happening to him. I don't know where Joe is half the time. What state are you in now, Joe? So who's on your heart list financially? So that's your heart list, okay? So one of your heart lists is for clients, people that you want to share this with. The other heart list is for coaches. Who do you think this opportunity would uniquely benefit? All you got to do is spend 5 minutes in a quiet spot and say, who am I thinking about? Who I don't know if they would ever do this, but I know I care about them enough to put their names down on a list. I would love to hear them have a transformation like Ivy or Joe. That's that list. That list is so easy. Okay? So now we have that list. Let me explain to you in like one sentence what to say to them. You're going to go to them and you're going to come from the heart. You're going to get over that fear because this program could save their life. And not only can it save their life, remember, one drop of water creates what? A powerful ripple effect. And we're only looking for people who are looking for us. So you're going to go to them. You're going to come from the heart. What should you say? Whatever it is that inspires you to say. I would say, look, I care about you. I'm thinking about you. I don't know if this program would be great for you. All I know is based off of previous conversations or just looking at you, I saw you struggling walking up the stairs. You're always out of breath. I saw those high blood pressure medications the last time I was there. I think this could really benefit you. Would you be open to exploring it? Would you be open to chatting about it? Would you be open to having a conversation about it? And what I want to tell you about this list is special. You know what I call this heart list? This heart list is called the I was just thinking about you too list. Because when you go to these people and you say, I was just thinking about you, I had you on my mind, 9 times out of 10, guess what they say back to you? I was just thinking about you too. It is such a coincidence that you reached out to me. This heart list is I was just thinking about you too list. Listen, eventually we are going to learn about laws of the universe, and we're going to learn about these coincidences. You are uniquely placed in the place that you are right now for a reason. And that reason is because lots of people are looking for you. How do I know? The evidence is staggering. Okay, now the other list. Who are these people? These people are just people that you know. No, it's not harder than that. It's just people that you know. And these people are everyone that you've ever known since you've been alive. When I started, I was 31 years old. That's 31 years of names to put on my contact list. Now, before I went to convention, I had like 33 names on there because I was judging all these names. These people are going to think I'm calling them fat. These people are going to feel like I'm bugging them. These people. I'm just creating all these stories that I don't even know is true. Stories that's not going to help me. Once I went to convention, I understood what I had in my hands. That list grew to 800 people, starting with all the people that's in my phone, all the people that's on my Facebook friends right now, all the guys I played football with, all the people I did musicals with, all the people I grew up in church with, all my past coworkers, all the 230 people that we invited to our wedding that we paid a significant amount for, and they all left early and didn't finish the food, right? Let's start with those lists. Put all those people down. And guess what we're going to do next? We're going to pick out how many people per day we want to actually share our seeds with. Our seed is your story, Optavia, all the incredible things that's happened to you and or people that you know. Now you just heard 2 more stories. So how many people do you want to pick out to start a conversation with per day? For me, after I came back from convention, remember my goal was to keep my family together. So for me, I decided $18,000 a month would satisfy that. If I earned $18,000 a month, I could probably keep my family together because we didn't have to stress about money and fight and have all these useless fights. So for me, I said, based off of that goal, I think I want to do that relatively soon. So I'm going to go and sow my seed to at least 10 people per day. And that's what I did. No matter what, I start to understand that the challenges that showed up were the obstacles that I needed to get me to the way. Because there's no way I could reach those goals without stuff happening. So I just started understanding this is how life is. So instead of crying about it, murmuring about it, saying, woe is me, I wish it didn't happen, I started to embrace it because it's the very thing that I need to get me to where I want to get to. So I said 10 people a day. Great. You decide what your number is. What do I do with those 10 people a day? This is how easy it is. So I picked out 10 people a day on my list, and I went to them, and I said, hey, hi. It's been a long time. Listen, I don't know if you know that this has happened to me. Now I started telling my story. I started letting them know why I was so fired up about becoming a coach. I started asking for help. Please write that down. Ask for help. You know a lot of people that I don't know personally, and a big part of my mission is to help touch as many people as I can so that they don't have to feel like I felt. Would you mind helping me spread this to people in your life that might be suffering like I was? They would say, yes. Yes, I would. I would say, great, thank you. So I'm going to send you some information. What's the best email address for you? They would give me their address. I would say, awesome. Are we friends on Facebook? If not, let's connect there. Now we became friends on Facebook. I would say, can I follow up with you in a couple days just to make sure that my information didn't go to junk? And maybe someone was pressed or implanted on your heart that I can serve. They said, of course, you can follow up with me. I said, thanks. That's all I need. That's all I need. I want to thank you for supporting me, for helping me. Because somebody in your world, guess what's going to happen to them? A miracle. That's it. And I would say, is it okay if I just kind of kept you updated on what's going on with me, how this program continues to touch my life and the lives of others? Is it okay? And they would say yes. 10 people a day, every day, no matter what. Amanda's in the hospital for weeks. Guess what I did? 10 people a day. We were put out of our house for weeks. Guess what I did? Every single day. In the beginning years, we fought like cats and dogs every day. Guess what I did? Every single day. That sounds too easy, right? That's all I did. I went and I connected authentically, cultivated relationships, asked for help. And guess what people started to do? They started helping. They would say, oh my gosh, what an incredible story, Ivy. I had no clue. I had no clue. I got a girlfriend that's the same way. She won't even go shopping. But she just told me about it. You should be connected with her. I say, oh my gosh, Joe, I had no clue. You're suffering in that job? I thought you loved that job. I have a coworker that's complaining right now. He doesn't like what he's doing. Maybe he would like what you're doing. Maybe he would like to coach. I would say, send him over. And every week, people would send me people. And then guess what? They would say, hey, I know that, you contacted me. You weren't really talking about me, but you don't know my story and what I've been through. I've been secretly hiding for years. And I would say, really? They would say, yeah. I would say, well, let's talk about it. When's a good time to connect? And then we would talk to them. Like, this thing is so easy. This is what I started out the conversation with, because we make it so hard. There's two basic conversations. It's, hey, I was thinking about you specifically because you're on my heart. Or, hey, I'm going to start a conversation with you. You know a whole bunch of people I don't. I'm a coach. Maybe you can help me. Maybe you can help me get the word out there. Whichever way you do it, it's going to lead us to one thing. And that's going to be a conversation to talk to someone and take them through the health assessment. Numero uno. This is what we're getting to. This right here. We don't even have to have Facebook, social media, Instagram, none of that stuff. We can help as many people as we want. How do I know that? Because before Facebook and stuff came out, this company was here. Thousands of people were getting help. Facebook, honestly, with Facebook, people should be exploding this business. Because it's so easy. Nothing I said right now has anything to do with Facebook. So we take them through the health assessment. We do a great job of listening to where they're at and what they want. And we ask them questions so that we can get connected with this right here, this cortisol, this thing that's beating between all of us. There's a rhythm right here. Boom, 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 boom. We want this to get attached to theirs. Only way that can happen if we ask them questions to figure out where you're at. Where you at? where you want to go. Why the hell haven't you been there? What's been the hardest part? Why are you 80 pounds overweight? What are the habits that you think we should probably change along the way? What's your motivation for doing this? You don't have to do this. Do you feel like you're ready to do this? How's your sleep? How's your water? How's your energy? Are you on any medications? If I could have you stand on the scale right now, what would you like that scale to say? Now, the 80 pounds is great, but what does that represent for you? How is losing that weight going to help you? All we do is we figure out what their why is. Now that I feel like I understand what they want, why they want it, why has it been so long, what does that represent to them? Now, all I do is I share with them our 4 components. I explain how Optavia is going to help them change their life. How they're going to go from here, no miracle, to here, miracle. From nothing to something. That's what a miracle is. I just explain it to them. And then I sit back, I let them know how it's uniquely impressed my life, and then I offer them the opportunity to change their life. If we're not offering an invitation, it'd be like trying to date someone, we're never asking them out. We'd just be sitting there texting all the time. So, how you doing today? I don't know. How you doing today? It's like, I want to go out for coffee, but I never ask you, do you want to go for coffee? We're just going to be sitting there. So we have to offer an invitation. Now listen, I just sat here for 15 minutes. I listened to what you want. I feel connected to it. I know in my heart you can do this, but it doesn't matter what I know. It only matters what you know. And the only way you're going to know if this works for you is for you to do what? Pause, silence. Make them say, try it. That's right, try it. Because what I can tell you is one of the scariest parts of doing this, the hardest part of doing this, is just trying it. And in a week, you will know and you will be experiencing everything that I did. And you'll love it. But you have to take the leap. So what do you say? You want to try it? That's our job. It's their job now to make a decision. Listen to me. It's either yes or no. If I just listen to them for 15 minutes and they've told me all these reasons as to why their life has not been the way that they want it to be, they're either ready to change it or they're not. And if their life is that jacked up, what is $392 that they're already spending, by the way? Because there's a cost to life. And I don't think that people really understand this. But either you're going to pay now or you're going to pay later. And oftentimes when you pay later, it's going to be a lot more of an investment than it is now. And I'm not just talking about health. So it's really up to them. But for us as a coach, it doesn't really matter because we're just going to put them into a system. And the system is going to bring them back. So real fast on that system, then we'll close up. The system is 5 parts. If they're not ready, we're simply going to say, hey, it's all good. Timing has to be right. Would you mind if I sent you a little bit more information so you can make a decision? They're going to say yes. We're going to say, great. Now, while you're looking at this information, you know a ton of people that I don't, and my heart is in this mission, and it's to help other people. So as you're looking at this, if people are implanted on your heart, they really come to mind, would you help me? Remember, I told you what we do is ask for help. Would you help me spread this word and this message to them? Maybe it could be the unique thing that they need to make a change in their life. They are going to say yes. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Okay, what is the best email address for you? starting to sound a lot like what we did before, right? What is the best email address for you? Awesome. Listen, are we friends on Facebook? No? Okay, let's connect on Facebook. And then what I'm going to do is add you to our client support page. That way, you could be a fly on the wall and just really get the experience of our community. All these people is going to help you along your journey. So let me ask you, when would be a great time for us to reconnect about this and follow up? When would be a great time for us to reconnect and follow up? Get a specific time and day. And then say, awesome. Well, it was great talking to you. I love hearing more about your goals. I believe that you can do it. Can't wait to touch base. And is it all right if I just kind of kept you updated on how this program continues to shape my life and help other people? They will say yes. Great. That's how we'll want to end a call if they're not ready. It's simple. No stress. I'm not freaking out. I don't care that they're not ready and that price may be an issue. That's not up to me. I have given them the answers. Either they're going to take it or they're not. Here's the system. First thing we're going to do, we're going to send a follow-up email within 24 hours. Send a follow-up email within 24 hours. We asked them if we could send them some information, so let's send it. So send a follow-up email. Where's that information? Write it down and ask your business coach to send that to you if you don't have it already. Okay. Second thing you're going to do is you're going to take that email address and now you're going to add it to a contact group. We call this a connections group, but this is going to be a list, and this list is going to grow and grow and grow. And this list, generally, it's going to be in your email server. So ask your business coach how to put together your connections group. It's really easy. I made a video on it. And all these things are already in the files in the 0 to 5 group, by the way, too, under a file called step by step, like step-by-step action steps or something. Number 3, you are going to add this person to your client support group. Add to client support group. Number 4 is you're going to follow up on the day and time that we promise. Follow up on day and time that we promise. Now, very important subset to number 4. If I follow up on the day and time that I promised and they didn't answer, which happens often, by the way, remember, life in one sentence is opportunity mixed with difficulty. So when I call Joe and Joe doesn't answer, even though we obviously said we were going to follow up that day, then no big deal. I leave Joe a voicemail and I wait to hear back from him. If I don't hear back from Joe, I call him the next day. If Joe doesn't answer, I leave a voicemail and I hope to hear back from him. If Joe doesn't call me back, I call him on that third day. If he doesn't answer, I give him off the hook. Write that down, off the hook. Very important. Muy importante. So off the hook is me telling Joe the last thing I want to be is someone that bugs Joe. I'm not trying to force Joe to do this. I want Joe to do this on his own time. And quite frankly, I need to let myself off the hook. Because if you coach the way that I coach with a sort of passion, with wanting folks to change, we can sometimes get to a point to where we want things more for them than they want for themselves. Am I the only one that's been there? And so sometimes we have to let ourselves know it's okay to move on. We've done all that we can do for Joe right now. So off the hook is just letting Joe know that it's okay. It's all right. That, look, I'm not gonna. I don't want to bug. I don't. That's not my intentions. We're friends and we're family members, and I'll always be here if you ever want to move forward with this. But I'm not going to be bringing it up anymore. So just let me know if you ever want to move forward. But we're friends. Like, I don't want there to be any weirdness or anything like that. So I've let him off the hook, but quite frankly, I let myself off the hook. Now I don't have to sit there and think about Joe. Is Joe going to do it? Joe going to do it? Joe's going to do it when Joe feels fit and ready to do it. So that's number 4. Number 5 is all these email addresses that are piling up in our connections list. Number 5 is we're going to send an email to them every 2 weeks. So please mark off in your calendars 1st and 15th of the month to send your connections emails. And remember, when I finished this call, I asked Joe, hey, is it okay if I just kind of kept you updated on how this program's working for me and some of the people that I'm servicing? And he said, yeah, this is how we keep them updated. So let me explain to you his philosophy, then we'll be done. Why does this work? How do I know Joe's going to come back? Well, lots of reasons. The biggest reasons is because Joe has gotten to this place because he has terrible habits. Let's just be real. This is how it is. Joe's also gotten to this place because we do a great job of lying to ourselves. It's called cognitive dissonance. So habits are really hard to break, like extremely hard to break, especially without coaching or some sort of behavioral intervention. It's like almost impossible to do. So I know my chances of Joe going somewhere and figuring out how to do this is like slim to none. And if he does figure it out, most programs don't have behavioral intervention. So he might figure it out for a little bit, but he is going to go back to where he started. And at that point, he's going to be looking for someone or something, and I'm going to be there. That's how I know Joe's going to come back. That's the first way. Second way is I have added Joe to our client site. He is going to watch tons and tons of people lose tons and tons of weight and get really healthy. While, from what I just said previously, he's going to be about the same or get even worse. At some point in time, it's too hard to stay in that group and watch all these people get healthy. Joe either is going to remove himself or he's going to send me a text message saying, hey, I'm ready. Now, Ivy's question at the beginning was, what do I say to these folks to help them kind of really understand and get going and that my life has changed? The only reason why we add all these people on Facebook is so that we can do one thing. Please write this down, and that's live out loud. Live out loud, you guys. Quit being scared. Quit being timid. You have gone through an incredible story that other people are dying to know. All they want to do is see someone that resonates with them. And the way that we do that is we live out loud. We be authentic, be you, be authentically you without worrying about what people are thinking. Because here's what I know. People are looking for a solution. And you just so happen to have that. But they don't know that you have it because you've been so dang timid about it. If you go to my Facebook page right now, you will see within 5-6 posts every single way that I could help you. I live out loud. So we constantly live out loud. So Ivy, the story you just told us, you chop that up and you throw it out there on social media. You share your heart, my friend. This is how these people know. But right now, too many people are too dang scared. We're too worried about what people are going to be saying or thinking instead of being worried about being a miracle worker. So now that they're friends with us on Facebook, they're influenced because they see us living out loud constantly, at least 3 times a day, 4 times a day, 5 times a day. I'm still at 5, 6, 7 times a day. I've been doing this for 5.5 years. So that's how. And then you get with your business coaches and you ask them, well, what do I do with all these people that are engaging on my posts of me living out loud, and they'll explain it to you. It's very simple. We never let someone who likes our post go untouched. We never let someone that comments on our posts go untouched. A very simple method. We're going to start authentic conversations with them to do one thing. That's to get to a health assessment. There's two conversations. One is we're going to start authentic conversations with them, and they're going to tell us an area they're struggling. They're probably going to say, hey, why don't you tell me more about what you're doing? I see you posting all this stuff. And if that doesn't happen, no big deal. All we're going to do is ask them for help. Hey, I don't know if you know my story, but can I call you and just kind of tell you? And you probably know a whole bunch of people that might be looking for what I got. There's two conversations we have. It's not like 50,000. There's two. All of them lead back to one thing, which is a health assessment. If they're not ready, no big deal. We put them in a system. The system will bring them back. So the other thing that happens in the system, the philosophy is, remember, every 2 weeks, they're getting influence from what? Your connections emails. So they are, admittedly, I did this to my coach. Remember, she reached out to me. It took me 4 months to come. I got her emails and stuff. I just deleted them all. They're going to do the same thing until, write down until and put a big circle around that, until life gets to a point to where they cannot delete them anymore. They are going to read something, hear something, feel something, see something that's going to connect. And then all of a sudden, you're going to get an email back saying, hey, man, I should have started this 5 years ago. I could have changed my life back in 2012. I've been seeing what you're doing. It looks like you're having a blast. Man, I should have did this the first time we talked. Do you know how often this happens to me? And in my head, I'm like, yeah, you should have did it 5 years ago. But timing is right. I mean, you're still slaving at that job. You're still hoping about vacations. I told you, but look, I know timing has to be right. Let's go. I'm here. So they're influenced by that. So these people are going to come back. Now, that's that system. One last thing that we do. All these health assessments here, right? All of these, when they're not ready, they just go into this. So if they're not ready, we put them in this orange folder. If they sign up as clients, we put them in a green folder. Now, my 6-year-old son, Ezra, would understand this. So I know that we get it. So in this orange folder, we have tons and tons of health assessments because we're having tons and tons of these conversations. Now, pick out a day per week that fits your schedule. Most of us do it on Fridays. We call it Follow-Up Fridays. So all you're going to do is you're going to open this up. You're going to pull out all of these health assessments, and you're going to follow up with all these people every single week. Now, I just gave you the recipe for success. Now, if we don't do it, that's on us. It'd be just like a client that wants to lose 50 pounds, and you told them to do the 5-1, and they decided to do an 8-3. You gave them a recipe for success, which is the 5-1. What I have just done is giving you the recipe for success. That's how easy it is. And for some reason, we get lost with the simplicities of this business. So you guys are miracle workers. It's very important to understand that. You help people. I mean, you help people change everything. I know it because you're listening to them. You're listening to them. You're listening to them. So when we go and follow up, I want to make a very clear distinction. Some of these people, you are going to go follow up and you're going to say, hey, I was thinking about you. I know that you said you kind of want to get going this week. How's it going? Do you want to get going? I would say probably 95% of these people, you're following up. Remember, we talked about sowing your seed, which is a great story. Your seed is going to fall on some sort of ground. Now, your seed isn't going to grow unless you follow up. The follow up is called watering that seed. Those that water the seeds will have a huge crop. Those that don't are going to be frustrated. So our follow up, if we're not following up because we want to bug these people, we're following up because we care about them. Listen, life is precious. We spent an hour and 20 minutes on this call. That means that's an hour and 20 minutes off of your life. When you talk to these people, you're talking to them for at least 20 minutes, right? That's 20 minutes that you've invested out of your life. So for that, at least 10 of those minutes, they're telling you all the things that they wish could be better. So the people that truly are great with following up are not following up because they're trying to get a client. They're following up because I just invested at least 20 minutes of my life listening to what you want, and I know you don't have it. So when I follow up, I'm following up saying, hey, how's it going? Hey, you told me you're on all these medications. How's that going? Hey, you told me that, Ivy, that you want to go to the pool with your boys, but you've been hiding for 30 years. Has that changed? Hey, I know you said you wanted to start eating better. Here's a recipe for you. Hey, I know that you wanted to have better mobility. Here's a workout program for you. Hey, looks like a whole bunch of my friends are going on a hike. Do you want to come? Our follow-up is because we care. Give them value. I'm telling you, eventually they are going to see, hear, experience something to where they're ready to do something. Remember, you didn't talk to these people on this health assessment, on this Explorer calls because they got everything figured out. You talk to them because they're jacked up and they're not just going to figure it out. There is going to come a time in the day to where they're ready. Who are they going to go to? They're only going to go to the ones that are consistent, that are living outside or out loud, and that are committed. That's it. So, is this helpful? Life and business is extremely, extremely easy. Okay, so I want to, I thought I could do all that in an hour, but Joe talked for so dang long, man. You know, he took up 24 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. You know, I love this group. I'm passionate about what we do. I have been since I understood that I could change my life from becoming a coach. Honestly, if you guys would have known me before, my life was in shambles. And I didn't know how to change. And you know, there's a lot of Jamils that are out there. There's a lot of Joes and Ivies and things like that. And it doesn't take much, but it does take commitment. And so I hope that this helped, one, show you that this is a people business. This is a heart business. This is a business where people, it's okay to get together and cry because we all got stuff. But it's also okay to dream. And if we're not dreaming, in my opinion, we're dying. And if we're just okay with the status quo, then, you know, this probably isn't the right company for you, because we're dreamers here. We want to live in abundance in every single area, and we want to teach other people to do that. And I think sometimes we get bogged down with just being okay with being okay, and that's not what it's about. And then I hope to show you the simplicities of this, because it is very, very simple. But we're not going to do it if we're not in the right frame of mind, if we don't understand exactly what we have, and the egregiousness if we don't share it, how many people that can impact. Because there are people that are uniquely placed on our path every single day. And whether we go out there and actually sow these seeds and follow up, or we decide not to, people are impacted, good or bad. So I appreciate all of you guys for being on. We went over by quite a bit, but I hope it was helpful, and I felt like it was something that I was compelled to do, especially now because 7 days into the month, things are not going the way that we would intend them to go. And my hope is that this call, we start to understand that any single month can be whatever it is that we decide to make it. I've had many, many months where I brought on 10 or more clients. I've only had 1 month where I brought on over 30 clients, and that was in December. So this month, as a man or woman thinketh, so shall they be. So if you believe that there are people that are looking for you this month, there are. I know it from experience. But if you believe that there's not, that will be true for you as well. So I love you guys. I love this group. Thank you for being on. Share it with your teams if you felt like it was valuable. Joe and Ivy, thank you for sharing your hearts tonight. Talk to you guys soon.